Oops. Welcome to the Lift Heavy Run Long podcast, episode 77, where we talk about Vaughn Rawls and his 100-mile finish. You can find us at www.liftheavyrunlong.com, on Twitter and Instagram at LiftRunLong. Also, feel free to email me directly at the address wilson@liftheavyrunlong.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. If you are not a member of our private Facebook group, you should be, because we want you to be there. Search for Lift Heavy Run Long Community and request to join right now.
Oh. And might I add that when you go to liftheavyrunlong.com, you can go to the shop and look at all the awesome merch we have in there. Because we have the Lift Heavy Run Long t-shirts and all the other things. And there's also programming with Valerie Hunt and all these things that when you buy these things, it supports this podcast and, you know, allows us to continue doing these types
we
of
got
things.
Kids that need to eat.
That's right.
Christmas, and we got to get them presents.
We have an app.
Yeah.
We have an app.
We have an app
that you can use for free for the month. That doesn't require a credit card. It doesn't require anything. It's free. There's no strings attached, no commitment.
1 month for free.
And if you go to liftheavyrunlong.com and wait for about 10 seconds, it'll pop up.
And if I'm not mistaken, Valerie's doing the programming for this thing, and she's naming the workouts after, like, Mexican food. Like,
yes.
I get these emails like, don't forget to do the chimichanga.
Yeah, do
like,
quesadilla.
okay.
I was like, quesadilla, what?
Don't forget to do your quesadilla. I'm like, what?
I get to name the workouts.
Oh.
Valerie does
So
the
you're doing
programming,
that. Okay.
but I have the license to name them.
That's awesome.
So no one worry. Don't get confused that I am actually doing the programming. I just get to do the naming, which is so fun for me. And it's been fun to get with everybody in the community, and I think that we're going to have some real fun with that.
So is it the month of December free, or is it whenever they log on, it's 1 month free?
Whenever they log on, it's 1 month free.
All right, just want to clarify.
And then from there, I will send you a message and see if you want to continue.
So give me your credit card number.
Or not. Correct. And that's all in the works. And we're going to try to do it really inexpensively and try to get a lot of people for very little money. And, you know, just we need to pay for the app, and we want to pay for the podcast and everything that goes into it. So I think it's going to be reasonable enough to where it'll be just too good of an offer to pass up. Big things are happening. Fun things are happening. I am through the roof excited.
I agree. It's kind of like a snowball effect.
Yep. I am vomit excited about everything that's going on with Lift Heavy Run Long.
Lots of good stuff. We got any reviews?
The last time I checked, we did not, but that was 2 days ago.
Aww.
That was 10 minutes ago. So I'll check again after I get done introducing my smoking hot wife, who's sitting next to me, loving on our precious dog,
Charlie.
He's so sweet.
And her name is Dr. Amanda Kimsey Horrell. Some of you know her as Jacked and Tan.
Hello.
How are you, lovely lady?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm good.
It doesn't feel like Christmas.
It doesn't, does it?
I'm
Oh my
sad.
gosh. No.
Does it feel like it's so warm outside, and I just don't? I mean, I'm trying to listen to Christmas music, and I'm not feeling it.
It's going to change.
I'm sad.
I'm bringing Christmas to you. It's coming. We're going to Chattanooga next week.
Nice.
Can we go to Rock City and see the lights?
We can do whatever the hell you want to do.
Yes.
Which is about par for the course 365 days a year.
Yep.
Man, yesterday I ran at lunch.
I saw
went
that.
for 5 miles, and it was like 55 degrees and sunny. Oh my God. It was like the perfect run down on the river, Mississippi River, where the wind was blowing
yeah.
and stuff. Oh, You couldn't ask for a better run.
Yeah, I walked out of the hospital the other day and I was like, oh my goodness, this is perfect running weather. I almost ran out to the car, but I was afraid security would be concerned that I was running, so I didn't.
It'll feel more like Christmas once we get to your mom's fudge. That'll change things.
Fudge is a big thing out there, isn't it? Like, I always remember going to Gatlinburg when I was a kid.
Yeah, the old
And we
smoky
came to-
candy
you
kitchen.
always fudge is everywhere. Like, it's like that's our specialty in East Tennessee. Is
And taffy.
taffy,
Saltwater
and
taffy.
Fudge, taffy,
Fudge.
and
Junk.
fat stuff.
Gatlinburg.
Which is why I think Gatlinburg
junk.
is wonderful.
Yeah. I can't believe you've never been or not remembered it.
I can't either, but I've been
We
there.
went during Rod Run. Whew,
And
that was busy.
It's the Mecca.
Yeah.
I have sitting next to my beautiful wife, the Reverend
Hello.
Vaughn Rawls.
Hi.
And it's just the three of us, and we're going to
That's
talk
right.
about your 100-mile race at Tunnel Hill.
Yeah, we are. I'm excited.
But not before I find out about these reviews. I've got all kinds of things that I want to ask you about. I need to give a shout out to David Lomax. Lomax listens to the podcast every week, and I don't ever mention his name.
I
And
love
he's-
David.
And he
Yeah,
says
yeah,
he
yeah.
listens to him expecting to hear his name, and when he doesn't, it makes him sad.
And
Aw.
anytime anything big happens, he always texts me. He's like, dude, kill that race. You know,
Oh,
like,
that's so
do
sweet.
that.
Yeah, he
If
texts
he knows
us.
I'm running, like, it doesn't matter if it's a 5K, a 50K, or a whatever. You know, he always get a text from him, and I love it.
Yeah,
Like,
he
makes
does.
me feel good.
I ran into him at St. Jude before
Did
the
you?
race. I was so excited to
Nice.
see him. Yeah.
Yeah, David's a good guy. We talk every single day. He's always supportive of what we got going on, and he's curious about what we have going on, and he's always wants to know what races we're running, and just a good guy to have on your side.
He really is.
So what's up, Lomax?
He holds a special place in my heart because he was my running partner for my first ever marathon in Tupelo.
He sure was.
He has been with me through some real stuff.
Yep.
Hey, guess what?
What?
We got a review.
No way.
Yeah, we do.
Somebody
we
got
do.
on. I was like,
I thought you just said we didn't have any.
We didn't have one 2 days ago.
We just got one.
It takes a little while to crawl through the interwebs. It doesn't.
Did
post
you see
right away.
that today that Apple released the analytics for iTunes that we've never been able to see before
No.
Oh,
in
no.
beta?
Really?
Yeah, I was looking at it earlier. I'll have to send it to you. Unfortunately, it's under my email, so I don't know how that works. But yeah, I was looking at it today. Look, you can see all like how many hours people have listened on how many devices and all that kind of stuff.
oh,
Pretty neat.
wow.
Yeah, because we've never been able to do that before.
Yeah.
But now we got a review.
And I'm going to read it. And speaking of Lomax, he has not written a review, but he said that he was going to leave a review.
Okay.
So there you go. Amazing group of people. 5 stars. December 13th. So it was written yesterday.
Wow.
Or posted yesterday. I love these guys and gal. This is my go-to podcast on long runs or rides when I don't have company with me to discuss food. Keep up the great work, y'all. P.S. This was way too difficult for me to figure out, and I literally almost gave 4 stars instead.
Right.
Isn't Vaughn in IT? Question mark.
Yeah. Can't I make Apple's products better? I'll see what I can do about that.
So who was it?
Joe Tribbiani.
Joe Tribbiani.
That name
Think
sounds.
That's like Joey from Friends. Is that Joey from
Joe
Friends?
is
Joey
that is.
Tribbiani.
That's his last name.
Is it really?
Yeah, so that's a joke right there. If that guy's name is Joey Tribbiani.
and it's Joe E. Tribbiani.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I got
we'll
you.
never know who that
I got
guy
you.
is. How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing, Joe?
I want to do a shout out to one of my big fans, Chris Newell. He was asking how to do a review, so maybe that's Chris. I don't know.
I don't know.
I know him through Science Lab Off Topic off of
Eat to Perform.
Eat to Perform.
Yet another Facebook group.
Yep.
I joined Eat to Perform.
You did?
Yeah, it's not working though.
Okay. You know you have to like follow what they say.
I thought that just giving them the money would work.
I'm hesitant to join other Facebook groups. They're not as cool as ours.
Oh, come here.
Well, they're
And I don't know if
this
it's
one's not as cheap as ours.
Oh, you have to pay to get in?
Yes.
Well,
Oh.
Eat to Perform's a thing. Like it's a
Oh,
thing.
it's Eat to Perform.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I thought you said something else.
Well,
Yeah.
they have a spin-off Science Lab Off Topic that
Science Lab Off Topic.
everybody
Okay.
can kind of like talk about whatever's
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on in their
yeah.
life.
Yeah, so it's something. It's
Yeah.
macros I should be meeting, and instead I'm just getting fatter than just absolutely
yeah,
incredibly
I
large.
don't get into all that.
I'm always throwing a Hail Mary out there. I'm always thinking maybe this will be the motivation I need. Maybe this will get me where I need to go.
Charlie really wants to lay in your lap. Come here.
Charlie.
Well, you have to do it. It requires work and discipline, and it's not as easy as 1, 2, 3. Especially if you're counting those macros. We'll edit all that out, I guess.
Yeah, I've started back on that. Counting all my macros and stuff again. Put on my dress pants yesterday for work and they were a bit tight. So.
Something's been knocked around. We got static.
Oh, technical
You hear
difficulties.
static? I don't hear static.
We got a little feedback going on.
I got my toenails did. Got my toenails
I
painted
saw
for
your
the holidays.
Christmas toenails.
Vi over
V.
at V. She does my nails. She gets real excited about doing my nails. I figured they did more nails. They painted more males' toenails than they do.
But they don't.
Apparently, that's not as popular of a thing as.
He's very popular at the shop.
I imagine.
Yep, and they do a good job. It's pretty amazing. She did a little strand of Christmas lights across my.
Yeah. I saw
Yeah.
a picture somewhere. Someone was saying, I don't know where it was. Maybe on another Facebook group somewhere.
So we got some questions for you, Mister.
You have questions for me.
Yep. You just take a seat right there and get comfortable.
Have a seat right there.
That's what they tell you when you're about to
Yeah,
go
right,
to jail.
Right. Chris Williams. Was that his name? Chris Williams? Wasn't that the reporter's name where he trapped the people trying to go and
Oh no!
He's like, have a seat right
To
over
catch
there.
a predator?
Yeah.
What happened to that guy?
I don't know.
Who's
I
good?
think he made up a story about being in Afghanistan and got shot at and they fired him. Oh,
That's
man.
how rumors get started,
I'm
right
glad
there.
you laughed at that.
He does look. Brian Williams is who you're thinking of.
And I called him Chris Williams.
Chris,
That's his brother.
That's Brian Gumble.
He's black.
Oh my
They're
goodness.
not related.
okay. It's Chris Hansen is who you're
Chris
talking
Hansen,
about.
yes. That's
Brian
who I was-
Williams
Brian Gumble.
and Brian Gumble all got
Oh,
together
man.
for
Oh
dinner.
goodness.
And they caught a predator, and that's how things get started.
Oh, man. That was funny.
Nope, Charlie, get out of his face.
Oh, we have questions, Charlie.
I think I may have even mentioned this last
here.
week, but when I was in rehab, the first morning that I woke up at 4 a.m., they wake you up with basically pots and pans, and you got to go smoke your cigarettes if you want to smoke them.
Yeah,
and I'm feeling
yeah.
terrible, like I'm about to die. And I hear these two guys, and they're talking about how Macho Man had just died. And so that led to Michael Jackson dying when Michael Jackson died, or Michael Jackson had just died. So then they start talking about Macho Man dying. So then somewhere in the conversation, it got to switched around to the time that Michael Jackson molested the Macho Man. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm literally in a nut house thinking, how did I get to this point? And that is how the world operates. That's how information gets transposed.
Oh no! Now it's
translated,
even
and
worse
pushed down
because
the
you're
line.
like you see a headline and like you don't read nobody reads the article. You just see the headline. It's like so and so molested so and like just got fired. And you're like okay, that's cool.
Which is
Yes,
all
that's
the
true.
that's all the
You know-
article is. That's all the headline is meant to do is to
That's
get
it.
people to.
That's it. And then all of a sudden it's a real thing that's not actually a real thing.
Yep. It is. All right. So we're going to ask a few questions. You want to talk about your race a little bit?
Oh man,
Or do you
I've
want to
been
go
waiting.
straight into the questions? You got to talk about whether you want to, but I didn't.
No. We can do questions and talk about it. I sat down and wrote like 5 paragraphs of a race report, in Evernote, and I was just like, well, there's just so much. Like I just can't. It's so much easier to talk about it. And then I thought maybe I'll resurrect the Vaughn's vlog thing and just break that up into like little chunks and talk about it because there's just so much to say and there's so much that I experienced that it's hard to write. Like I could just write a whole 2-3 pages about getting to the starting line, you know. And once I started doing that, I was like, not that I don't have time to do it. It's just insane, you know, like it's just so much. And there's so many things that people want to know, you know what I mean? Like it's a weird feeling to be like one of my best friends is like, oh my God, attacking me with questions like every day. When are you going to write? When are you going to tell me about this and that? And what happened with this? And then someone will walk by your desk at work and be like, oh my God, what'd you do? And blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, let me tell you about it, but it'll take me like 30 minutes to tell you about that thing, you know? So it's like, we should really just do an hour of podcasting about it, you know, just to.
Well, you have
talk about.
information on a subject that is a destination that you can't get to by any other means than just doing it.
Just doing it.
You know,
yeah.
that you can't say, well, I got money. We can save up money and go on a 100-mile race.
Right.
You can't buy your way to that.
It doesn't work that
experience.
way. You have to go do the work.
And so it is. Yeah. There is a lot of questions. And
right.
I can start thinking, since you posted that on Facebook, I've thought, I've got a lot of questions I want to ask him.
Awesome.
And then I start thinking, well, but maybe I want to know this. So I could see where writing about it, just the things that I want to ask you, goes round and round and round.
Right.
You know, so I could see where writing about it would be really difficult.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden I spent like an hour writing 5 paragraphs and I'm like, oh, I haven't even started yet, you know? And now I'm like, and then I was like, where am I going to put this? Does Wilson want me to put it on the website, or should I try to fix my website where I should put it somewhere? And then that whole process, I'm like, I can't do this. And so it really stressed me out. So I was like really super happy that we're sitting here doing this.
I feel a big sense of relief from you since having accomplished that.
Oh man, you can't imagine. You just can't imagine. I want to in my head doing this. I want to start like leading up to like how did you get there, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? But you are right. That's at the end of the thing. You know, this huge sense of accomplishment. But
well, let's kind of start from. We kind of nailed you to this.
Yeah.
8 months before Tunnel Hill. 6
right.
months before Tunnel Hill.
Yeah.
And
it was more than
committed,
6 months. It was a long time.
You were in.
I was in. We did the 50-mile there before, and I've done, I think, 7 50-milers, 6 or 7 50-milers, leading up to this. And every single time, it's always been in my head, like David Murphy from the Idiots Running Club on Facebook. I've always seen him do these. I met him at my very first 50-miler, and I thought, man, this guy's so cool. Like, he had this purple scroll that he carried with him on his 50-miler for cancer, and I just remember running my very first 50-miler, and I thought, man, this guy's incredible. And he ran 100-mile races, and I was like, how does he do that? Like, I didn't know anybody else that ran 100-mile races. And I remember being at Ouachita, the first one I finished, going, there is no possible way that I can do that again. It just won't happen. I felt that way every single other 50-miler. I felt that way at Tunnel Hill when we ran the 50-miler there. Like it does not compute. Like, you're telling me when I finished the first time we ran Tunnel Hill, I just sat down at a tree and cracked a beer, and I'm like, I'm just going to wait on everybody else. There is no way I'm going out in those woods again. You know, I will never be able to do that. And so there's this whole process of from the very first 50-miler all the way for the next several years. It's just like, I know I need to do it. Rocky Raccoon, David Murphy kept saying, you need to go do Rocky Raccoon. It's a good one to do, blah, blah, blah. And I think I even committed to it on a podcast with Alex Viata. He said he was going to be there. And I was like, yeah, I think I'll do that. You know, and then I just kind of didn't ever bring it up again. Like, well, yeah, I don't think I'm ready for that. Like, it just doesn't compute. So I don't know. We got to go back and find it at some point of how we ended up committing to this race. But at one point I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it, you know, and I signed up for it. You know, I remember signing up for it. Yeah. I mean, it was way back.
We committed the week that Gary and Kathy Owens were on the podcast. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
not
yeah.
the week before.
Yeah. So
I think it's like
need to
before
go.
because you convinced Gary on the podcast to do the 50 miler because we were.
Yeah, okay.
I need to go back and listen and find it when we committed to it because that would be kind of cool. But I just want to the whole thing about talking about leading up to the thing is like it's just not going to happen. And I didn't even think it was going to happen all the way up until we got to the starting line.
Well, you distanced yourself. You were nervous.
I was nervous. I was angry. I was like super duper stressed out. Like you can't imagine how bad it got in my head.
I don't know what it looks like for you to stress because you and I don't stress the same. I stress about everything all the time, constantly overthinking. And you're pretty chill most of the time.
Well, my wife would say differently, and my kids would say differently. But yeah.
But there must be an added degree of stress when it comes to, where you are from a leadership background. You own a gym. People know you as the guy who owns the gym that runs all the time. You're the CrossFit runner who doesn't put in a lot of miles and believes in being strong versus, breaking yourself down through mileage. So then, if you fail, there is sort of that, see there? And then if you succeed, there's the, hey, see there.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like I got into a space. Somebody asked a question about training. I got into a space where I think I was trying to make myself fail. Like I almost got to a point where I was like, I don't think I should go to this race because I'm not gonna be ready. Like I'm just not gonna go do this run because psychologically, like in my subconscious, I'm like, okay, I got to skip this run because of work or whatever, but I'm subconsciously doing it because I do not want to go run this race.
Mm-hmm.
You're
going to make it to where it's okay not to run the race.
Right. Something needs to happen here. Something bad enough needs to happen to where I can say I don't need to go on this trip. But the thing was, my kids were looking forward to going. My wife was looking forward to going. We already booked the hotel room. Everything was done. It was a trip. I was going on this trip, and I think I said on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, or before the race, is like, oh, it's happening. I'm going. I don't think I said that in the documentary maybe, but like, there's no getting out of it now. I'm going to be at the starting line of this race. Holy crap.
So did you feel that way, like finishing one of your training runs, just be like, this is not going to happen?
No, not really. I was just scared.
Oh, okay.
Like,
just
I don't
overall,
know.
you're just like, oh, something needs to happen. I don't want to go.
like it would be very convenient if something happened to where I could not go on this run. The biggest thing.
Where's Dad? He's outside slamming his head in the car door.
Right. The biggest thing was I started a brand new job 6 months ago, and I was like, oh well, I need to take off work, but I don't have any vacation time until 6 months. And I was like telling my wife, I was like, well, I don't know, I might not be able to get off work, like I might have to just stay at work and just have to call this thing off because this job is very important. It's a brand new job, and you know how that's important, and blah blah blah, and so I was supposed to tell my boss, like, I got to take off, but I never did. I didn't never said anything until literally 2 weeks before. I could not put it off anymore. And Holly was like, you got it today. You have to tell him that you're just going to need Friday and Monday. And I was like, I don't think I have any time. I don't think I haven't even been here 6 months yet, blah, blah, blah. And so I go into work and I got the courage. I brought it up to him. I was like, he's like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. Let me talk to HR and I'll get back to you. And I was like, I called Holly. I was like, he said he was going to talk to HR and get back to me. If he says it's not okay, I'm just want you to know that we might not go on this trip. So he comes back and he goes, oh yeah, here's all the hours you got accumulated. I was like, okay. So I called her and I was like, okay, well, I took off half a day this day, and then the whole day there. And then he said I could work from home if I wanted to when I got back. And I was like, we're going. This is like 2 weeks before. I'm like, we're going. We're going to do this thing.
I know that you intensified your training, but you didn't go through the roof with things, did you? I mean, you didn't up your mileage
I
to an
didn't.
absurd.
It's been really hard for, like, I'm still kind of in a weird place where I'm like the last 2 days I worked out at noon. Like, I ran yesterday at noon at my lunch hour, and today I went up to the gym upstairs at my lunch hour, and it's just a weird thing. Like, I love staying up late now. I don't like getting up early, and like at 5:30 when I get off work, I don't want to go to the gym. So it's a huge motivate. It's been a huge, like, finding like the groove, to where it's like get up at 5 a.m., go to the gym and work out, do that thing. And so it's just something I've been struggling with for the last 6 months. Just kind of like, where's my groove at? Like, what's the thing I like to do? Because for 8 years it's been, I like to get up early, go to the gym, go to work, blah blah blah. But then the last 4 years was like, I could do whatever I want. Like, if I want to sleep until 10 o'clock and go work out at 10, okay, I think I might do that tomorrow. You know what I mean? And so now it's just like, where's that groove at? So now I'm like fitting things in when I can fit them in. You know what I mean? So now family time is way more important right now because I'm gone. Like, I'm just gone from 8:30 to 5:30, which is like a normal thing, right? I'm not complaining. That's what people do, but it's different than before. You know what I mean? So I didn't ramp up my training. I just kind of fit runs in where I could fit runs in and just had to run with it. And
so what kind of mileage do you think you're putting in a week?
not a lot, maybe 10 to 12.
What was your longest run?
The Sillamore 50K.
That was February.
That was in September.
Stanky Creek.
That was in September. What did I say?
Sillamore.
Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. That was the Stanky Creek
Okay.
50K in
Gotcha.
September that we did.
Sorry.
And
I was like, whoa, February, whoa.
10 to 12.
I just
miles a
remember
week.
that was my thing. Like, I had to do that race. I wanted to do the 24-hour race, but we had to go on a trip, or my wife had to go out of town to go work with Chris's wife, and I couldn't do that, and so didn't get to do the 24-hour thing, which was in my head I wanted to do. But at Stanky, the 50K, I was like, okay, I'm going to run this thing at 14-minute miles and see what that feels like, because that's what I wanted to do the 100 in. And so that was the biggest, like, training run, I felt like, psychologically, where I'm going to go slow in this race and see, how it feels, what's it like to run, at a 14-minute pace and that kind of thing.
You sort of answered Elijah's question. Elijah asked, what was your weekly mileage going into the race, longest training run? And this is a good question. Did you have a goal race weight, or was body weight on your radar at all?
Not on my radar at all. I mean, I don't ever pay attention to that at all.
I love that.
I mean, I love eating, and I just don't care. Like, people have this thing of like, oh, I got to show you my abs, and I got to do this and that, and that's cool. Like, I love that. Like, I'd love to do that, but it's just not important. And to some degree, I guess that's probably a cop out, but I'm still, as long as I can excel and progress, I just don't care. It's always been my attitude. Like, if my deadlift went up, if I can tell you, okay, well, my deadlift's up 20 pounds, my squat's up 20 pounds, my mile time is at 6:30, 6:15. What am I don't care. Like, if I eat a cheeseburger or not, and I just don't. That's just my attitude. It's Now when I was fat, like when I was like that big buffoon guy, that's different. Like, where I need to cut a bunch of weight because I look like ass hat. You know, I look ridiculous, so I need to lose weight. So that's the time when it's like, okay, I was eating 5 times a day, small meals, drinking only water, nothing else, and working out every single day, running, cutting weight, you know. But I'm not. That's not something that I'm super duper concerned about right now. I mean, I ran 100 miles, you know.
I saw on the Lift Heavy Run Long community page where someone was asking advice on how to cut cravings. They were having some problems with their nutrition and staying within their plan. And what do you do when you get hungry? And your comment was, I eat. And I thought, man, that's there's a lot to be said for. There's a lot to be said for that.
I've picked this up from a friend of mine, Leslie Schilling, who is a nutritionist, and she's got this big, and it doesn't jive with anything that you hear from anybody else, really, which is don't go on a diet. Diets are stupid. Mm-hmm. Like you worrying about your body is stupid. Like just be who you are. Like you are a person. Like yes, we need to eat good food and we need to exercise and we need to do all these things, but we stress about like what we look like and who, you know, what we're putting into our mouths so much that it's like it's crazy. Like people get obsessed about it, and I just don't want to be that person where I'm like, I can't have any fun because I'm like, oh well, you know, I'm at 10% body fat and I got to be down to 6, you know. But my thing is, well, my marathon PR is 3:42, right? When I ran that, I weighed about what I weigh right now. So as long as I can keep making progress, then I'm not worried about what you think I look like or what anybody else thinks I look like or what I think I look like. I'm just going to keep performing, and as long as I can perform, you know, if I stop performing or performance goes south, like okay, maybe you're eating too many cheeseburgers, let's drinking too much beer, let's cut this out and for a few weeks and see what we can do, you know. But otherwise, you know,
no sense in just constantly evaluating the situation when there is no situation to evaluate. You're just going to play it by ear, and if things start not working as well as you'd like for them to work, then you'll switch some things up. But in the meantime, you don't really sweat it too much.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So one of the questions was, you were out there a really long time with no radio, nobody really to talk to after you split off with David. So you had like 60 miles by yourself or whatever it was.
Well, let's get
there.
How
did you not get in your own head? How did you keep going?
Yeah,
what did you think about?
Let me bring you up to that point first. We ran together when the race started. Mm-hmm. We had our little tent in the fire with all our peeps, which was awesome. And my wife and kids were there. We started, and I ran a long time with you and David and Spencer, and I was the dumbest person in the group, like, because I was running with 3 doctors, right? And like, I'm like, okay, this conversation is way over my head. But we set a pace right from the beginning of 4 minutes on, 2 minutes off. So we ran for 4 minutes and we walked for 2 minutes, and that worked so well until about 25, 26 miles, and you guys were there until probably 16 miles, and y'all let us go, which was smart, and then I let David go, which I felt like was a smart decision because I felt like we were going too fast, and I was kind of confused. I still I don't know what's going to happen once I get back to the starting line and have to start another 50 miles. I have to do this for 24 plus hours, so let's step it back a little bit and let David go and all that. So, what was your question? how do you
kind of
keep
being
yourself
alone and in your head? What did you do mentally?
Yeah, well, I was scared about that for the first whole half of the race. And once I got to the halfway point, I feel like there's some more stories I need to tell in between, but maybe there's more questions. Once I got to the halfway point, I was like, okay, here we go. This is what you've been waiting for. Like, this is the thing.
The
like,
unknown.
you've done this all before. And in my head, I was like, damn, I feel good. Like, shout out to Tailwind Nutrition, because that's what I'm blaming all this on, to be honest. Is I felt so damn good. I was like, man, I'm out of no blisters on my feet. I feel fantastic. Here we are, halfway. Let's do this 10 miles at a time. If I can just make it, starting the next 50, if I can just make it out to Tunnel Hill, we'll evaluate from there, right? So we went out, we started the race, we went out and back, and then we went out to Tunnel Hill and back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to go again out,
Yeah,
and
Karnak.
then the last leg of the race would be out back to Tunnel Hill and then back.
Mm-hmm.
So once I got to 60 miles, which would have been my second time to go from the starting line out first, my watch died. And so I couldn't do my 4-minute, 2-minute thing anymore because I didn't know what time it was or what the clock was saying. So I just started counting. I would literally count my steps 60, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 60, and then I would walk. Count my steps 60, all the way up to 60, and then run. And you picture it like it's completely dark. I'm just doing this. I got my headlamp, but I'm just going 60, 60, just counting in my head. Every once in a while, a person would come by, and that was it. Like, you're just in the middle of the woods. How I kept myself going, trying to answer that question, is just thinking. Like, just in my head, I was just counting steps and thinking about stuff.
What stuff?
I can't really
Like distraction stuff, or like deep stuff, or like, hey, I heard something out in the woods. Let me
a
just
little
keep
bit
going.
of both. Like there was a lot of
That's
deep.
what Carrie Jensen asked the question. I would also love to know where your thoughts were centered. What could you possibly focus on that would keep your feet moving? Besides generic my family stuff,
Yeah,
I want to know the primal survival thoughts that kept you going.
yeah. I don't know that there were primal survival thoughts at all. More so, it was very introspective. Like in the past, I've screwed a lot of things up and had a lot of opportunities that I failed to take advantage of, and a lot of it is why do you do that kind of shit? And let's think about that, and what where do you want to be? Like, where's your life going? It sounds really weird. It's kind of like a drug experience or something, but it's just like you're in the middle of the woods in the dark by yourself, and like, here you are, can have an honest conversation with yourself, and why not do it? And to be perfectly honest, that was the majority of that experience for me. Is I didn't even think about my feet hurting or my thing. I was just talking to myself. Every once in a while, though, you'd hear the wolf howl, and you'd be like, "What was that?" And it would break my conversation with myself. But to be perfectly honest, it's like, where's your life going, and where do you want it to go, and what have you done wrong up until this point, and what are you going to do to get where you want to go to? Does that make sense at all? But at this point, and during something like this, I feel like there's no filter. Like, I feel like in regular everyday life and just like going to work and doing these things, you put these filters up where you're like, I'm not going to hear that from anybody or myself, but like, if you're physically exhausted and you've ran 70 miles, you just, there's no filter. You take every thought, and everything just comes unfiltered. And so, if someone's standing there next to you and says something, negative about you, you're like, oh, okay, right? Like it's like you don't have any more energy to be. Oh well, that's not true. That's stupid. It was so and so's fault that I did that. It's not my responsibility that this thing failed, or it was because so and so said something stupid, and then that whole thing fell apart. It's very, very personal and very introspective, and there was a lot of that thinking going on, and a lot of that happens for me in the 50-mile races too, but not to that degree, not to the degree of I am completely insane right now, and the thoughts are just going wild.
I think that exhaustion is a great medium for inventory and reflection.
Yeah.
Like the more exhausted you are, the more willing you are to see the reality of a situation.
Just don't have the energy. I guess you don't have the energy, or you don't, not that you don't care. It's just that, and you get the same thing when you're working out. Like when someone walks up to me at the gym and I'm in the middle of a workout and somebody says something to me, I'm like, okay. Right. Like there's no back and forth. It's just, it's raw. It is what it is. There's no like, let me think about this for a second and think about the proper thing for me to say. There is no proper thing. It's just whatever pops out of your head. Whatever.
Did things happen during the 100-mile race in your head that caused you to see things differently and feel like that things that you once believed you had acted correctly, that you should have handled differently? And did it change you in the long term in that sense?
Yeah.
Was there any epiphanies?
So the biggest thing is that I have a confidence problem. I've always had a confidence problem, but and I will always say, no, I can't do that, or I'm not the guy that's supposed to do that, or I'm not the one that you want to do that, or whatever it is. It's no wonder that it failed, because I'm probably not that great of a person anyway. But at some point, you're like, in this 100-mile race is a very good example where you're like, well, you can't say that anymore because you just went and ran a 100-mile race. Like something that's been this out in outer space where you can't even imagine yourself doing it. You just went and did it. So what's the thing that you are going to say now where I can't do that, because, or I'm not the guy to do that, or I don't have the resources to do that, or whatever. Well, you just did the thing that's been sitting out there for 5-6 years that you thought you could never do. And not only did you do it, but you did pretty good at it. Like, maybe I was middle of the pack, but like, I don't feel like I was. I feel like, man, I damn near ran that thing in 24 hours. And if I'd have been a little bit smarter about it, I probably could have busted that 24 hours, So you just did something really incredible. So let yourself own that, and then let that translate into the rest of your life. Does that I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
But that's how it processes in my head.
So kind of going along with that, when you do another one, what would you do differently? What did you realize now that you would have done differently, or what would you say to somebody that's going to go do that to help them prepare for the 100-miler?
I would have more equipment. Like I was not prepared in the sense of David failing. I was carrying a water bottle, and he said, like, during the early miles, he's like, I can't believe you're carrying a water bottle. Like, you're the only ultra runner person I know that carried a water bottle. I was like, well, what else would I like? What? And then I was running for a couple more miles, and I was like, well, I've got a backpack in my car that I had left there like 3 weeks ago when I did another run. I'm going to see if my wife will go get it for me, because who is he to say I don't have a hydration pack? I was just waiting for my wife to get it for me. So I saw her at an aid station. I was like, hey, go and get that thing out of the car and bring it to me. The next aid station, I want it. And so I'm going to put my backpack on and fill it up with a tailwind, and then we're off to the races. So I didn't really think things through as far as I literally, this longest run in this pair of shoes, like I didn't really do a long run in these shoes. I break a lot of those rules, the conventional things you're not supposed to do. but it just all really fit. Like this was the first time I'd ever had tailwind. It's the first time I had ever worn these shoes, had socks on that I hadn't. It was, and it just was all perfect. Like, so don't do that. Like, don't do that. You know, get your nutrition during the race dialed in. Like, be on top of that. Like, what am I going to eat? What am I going to drink? You know, what am I going to wear? Am I going to change shoes at this particular mile? Am I not? Because I sat down at like 80 and Sean Hilston made me change shoes. I was like, why am I changing shoes? He's like, because I think it's a good idea. I was like, well, I don't think it's a good idea. And he was like, just change shoes. Like, okay. But I probably would have not changed shoes. Like, here's the plan. If I feel good, I'm not changing shoes. I didn't have a plan. I was, you know, just trying to not run this race. so I didn't really have like a plan. Like, I don't want that to sound a certain way. Not that I wasn't trying to run the race. You know what I mean? I did not. I was like, I was in such a weird space where, do I need to wait? I was in such a weird space where I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't think I can do this. I don't think I'm going to finish it. It doesn't matter what I drink or what shoes I wear or what equipment I have. So that said, I could have planned a lot better had I gone into it being like, oh, I'm about to crush this race. Here's what I need. I need these things, and here's what's going to happen along the way. You know what I mean? I feel like it would have been a much better race. I did not expect to do as well as I did.
Dustin Johnson asked, did you maintain the walk-run strategy from the beginning to the end?
Yeah.
If not, when did it break, and what did you go back to get on track, and how did the fueling go the second half?
How did the fueling go?
Yeah.
So I did the 4 minutes on, 2 minutes off for 65, 70 miles. It was perfect. I loved it. It felt so good. It was easy. And
what was your 4 minutes on? What was your mile pace as you were running?
So when Amanda was running with us, she said overall we were at like an 11-minute pace. I think what she said was,
what did you think it was?
While we were running, I think while we were running, it was an 11-minute pace. And overall, including the walking, it was like a 13 minute pace. And because I feel like we were hitting 12, 13-minute miles for 25 miles. And I was like, this is too fast. 14, I knew, was 24 hours. I'm not going to be able to do this the whole time. So I kept doing the 4 minute 2 for the whole time. And then, like I said, once my watch died, I was doing 60, trying to do 60. And then if I was not counting to 60, I was just doing however long I felt, I could go.
David Murphy asked, at what point did you realize that running 100 miles is much harder than it looks on Facebook? After it was over, how long were you able to sleep without waking up in pain? And did all the pain, misery, and general disgust for all living things immediately disappear at the finish line? And also, when is the next one?
Yeah. So, David's my hero. So the sleep, it was crazy the whole time. Like, I don't know. I know, I guess it looks easy on Facebook and people do it all the time, but I don't think it was easy. I never thought it was going to be easy. And it's insane that I actually did it. But afterwards, it was terrible. The worst experience of my life. I've never felt this bad ever. My ankles were swollen. I couldn't walk. They shuffled my wife and kids shuffled me into the hotel room.
Oh, when did you ever feel like terrible physical pain while you were doing the race at all? Like,
yeah.
Oh, this is really hurting now.
Yeah. So probably from 80 until the end was my left hip hurt really bad, and my left ankle was hurting really bad.
Okay.
And to the point where I felt like I was starting to limp, and it was really bad. Like, on the last 24 miles, you go out, and once you get out to the aid station, you have to go out 2 miles and then back 2 miles, which would have been 90 miles to like 90 whatever. When I got there, I sat down. They had a fire, and I sat down and talked to this lady, and I was like, I'm completely loopy, and I'm like, I'm hurting really bad here. And she's like, do you want me to roll it out for you? And I was like, if you want to do that, yeah, do roll it out. So she grabs a stick, like the stick, the stick with the rolly thing, rams that thing into my shin, and I was like, whoa, whoa. She's like, it's okay, you just got a couple of knots, let me roll. I was like, what? Okay. So I sat there for a second and let her do it, and I was like, okay, I think that's good. I gotta get up and start this 2 mile thing. So I go out 2 mile, and this is right when the sun's starting to come up. It probably took me an hour and a half to make that 4 miles. A little over an hour to an hour and a half. It was bad, like really bad. I was like, oh man, this is shitty. Like this is, I don't know what I'm going to do. But then the sun came back up. I got back. The guy gave me bacon. This guy was like, you want some bacon? And I went, bacon? You got bacon? He was like, how many strips do you want? I was like, give me 4. And so I took strips of bacon, filled my thing up, and made my trek back to the
well, I interrupted you about
miles.
the hotel room shuffling you in.
Well, it was really bad. So to answer David's question, I think was I felt so bad, and got back to the hotel room. I was going to go to sleep. This would have been 9:30 in the morning at this point, and laid down, and I couldn't sleep. I slept for like an hour, and I got up. I was like, this is terrible. This is terrible. My ankles I can't tell, my feet look like balloons. And I was just, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm going to do. I decided it would be a good idea to go downstairs and get in the hot tub. My son wanted to go down there to the pool, and I was like, I bet that hot tub would feel good. Can we swing it to where I can shuffle my way down to the hot tub? So I made it down there. I got in the hot tub. I was like, I got to get out of here. And then I couldn't get out of the hot tub because I was like, oh, this is like the worst idea you could possibly have. And so just made it through the night. I don't know. It was just really bad. I ended up just propping myself up on the floor with my feet on the bed and slept there through the night. And then the next morning, got in the car to ride home and prop my feet up on the dashboard and just rode for 3 hours home. And then when I got home, I could kind of walk. And it just started progressively getting better. I don't know when the next one's going to be. There will be a next one. In my head, I kind of kick around the idea I'd really like to do sub 24 hours at this race. But then I also would like, now I'm like, well, maybe this one wasn't legit enough. Maybe I need to go maybe I need to go get one in the mountains. Maybe I should do the Arkansas Traveler. Now that I know I can do it, I'm like, geez, now I know what to expect. It's a completely different animal, and I want to go have that experience again. So
cool.
Michael Cowan asked a good question, a couple of them. If you're going to help someone make it there next year, what would you change to make it easier on them? And if you did it again, what are you going to do to make it easier on you?
Train. I would probably run a little more, more longer-ish. Like I had said in the beginning that I want, especially for somebody that's new, I would like to take you into the woods with a headlamp and let you experience what that's like a little bit. But then again, at the same time, it's like, I also want you just to experience it without having ever experienced it before. I don't want you to be too prepared. I want you to be prepared, but not too prepared. I don't really know how to answer that question. I guess it just depends on the person, and their history. What would I do for somebody that wants to go next year? I would make them like go find a bib for Sylamore and get your ass to Sylamore and let's go do that. And then let's go to Ouachita in April and learn what it's like to feel those. It's easy for somebody that hasn't, not somebody that's never ran a marathon or never ran a marathon, never ran a 50-mile race to be like, I'm going to go run 100 miles. But you don't know what that means. You don't know what it means to run 18 miles, which is to me like a huge thing. You know what I mean? At a marathon, at 18 miles, you feel a particular way that you've never felt in your life before. If you've never ran that distance, you're like, what is happening now? You're the first time you ever do it, and you feel that again when you run 50 miles, when you run 80 miles. Does that make sense? Like there's an unknown, and I want you to experience those uncomfortable things. But I want you to be okay being super uncomfortable. And so I would figure out a way to get you super uncomfortable on a regular basis.
Dawn asked if there was anything you wish you had done differently considering fuel and hydration.
Not fuel and hydration. Tailwind. Like my goal in life is to be sponsored by Tailwind. Like I can't explain to you how good I felt, and the only thing I can say is that it's because of Tailwind. It's the only I did not eat goo.
Did you have any of that planned out? Do you know how much Tailwind you were taking in, or you just?
I followed the directions on the box to mix. So however much Tailwind was supposed to be in my backpack, whenever I filled it up, I made sure I measured it out. It was like 2-3 scoops per 24 ounces. And I just sucked on that thing the whole way.
Was there a certain amount that were you taking 3 sips every mile?
I can't say.
Drinking
whenever I felt like I was thirsty, I would drink it.
What about nutrition-wise? Did you just eat off the aid station tables, or did you have anything packed with you?
I ate off the aid stations. Aid station food and Tailwind. That was it. Which is so crazy to me because I didn't know that was going to be the case. Like normally I'll eat goo or whatever, but this is straight Tailwind, and man, it was good. That stuff is like crack cocaine. And it could be in my head. It could just be not real, but man, I felt good. And I felt good all the way to like 80, came back to my last 24 miles. I was like, man, I can't believe how good mentally I feel. There's some things going on physically with my hip and this, but man, I'm in a good mood. There must be a lot of caffeine in that stuff. I don't know.
So did you hydrate aggressively before, like leading up to the race, a few days, a week, or do you stay hydrated as a person?
Not any more than normal.
Okay.
I mean, I drink a lot of water anyway, usually drinking water all day long, so I didn't.
You're a hydrator?
Yeah. I mean,
as you noticed, I had to take a potty break.
Yeah.
I've been hydrating more often like I'm supposed to, so now I have to pee every hour.
Yeah, I drink and pee all the time.
Interesting. So what was your pre-race meal the night before? What was your
meal
choice?
I know we're at an hour, but it's such a funny story that I have to tell it. And this will probably answer some questions about attitude and things like that. But I was so pissed off all the way up until the night before leading to this race. I was just in this. I can't tell you how shitty of an attitude I had. Like I just wanted to be like, I just wanted to be over with. Like I felt like I was going to go fail, and I just wanted to get it over with. And I was short with so this is what you're talking about. You don't ever see me stressed. I was short with my kids, short with my wife. I'm just whatever. Leave me alone. Can you just be quiet while we drive to the just everybody just be quiet. Right. And then it was like, y'all are going to, I was like, well, everybody's at the thing there. And somebody said they were going to Applebee's or wherever it was. Everybody was going. There's a pizza place across the street. My wife's like, well, we all like to eat at the Drury Inn. Like we have the thing and they have the happy hour and blah, blah, blah. You can have a beer and we can eat whatever the dinner is down there. And I was like, well, I don't want whatever is down there. Like it didn't matter. They could have had pizza down there. I was like, this is crappy pizza. I don't want, like I was in just a foul mood. Like I was like, and so I sat down. We got down there. It was tacos. And I was like, I can't eat tacos. Can't eat tacos, especially these crappy tacos. Like these tacos. Can I just give me my beer ticket? Let me go get a beer. You know, like literally that was my. I was like, they had enough of me, I'm sure. And my wife Holly was like, "Well, look, there's a pizza place across the street. How about I just go over there and get you a pizza, and that'll work?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, you can do that for sure." So she goes and gets this pizza. We go back up to the room. I eat the pizza. You know, kind of my attitude's a little better, not much. But anyway, that's how I went into the morning of. And when I saw my son at one of the aid stations, I was go back to the tailwind thing. I was in such a great mood. This was like maybe I saw him at like 20 miles or something, 16 miles. No. It was the first time I went out to Tunnel Hill. They saw me. My wife had brought me pizza rolls. It was the greatest thing I'd ever tasted in my life. I was like, give me another. Next time I see you, I want more of these. And I just gobbled them up. And my son was like, Mom, he's in way better a mood than he was yesterday. We were driving here, and he's already ran 30 miles or whatever it was. And I was like, oh my God, what a jerk. You know, like your kids will tell you everything. But that was, you know, how good I felt during the race was, I guess once I got into it, I was like, I am going to do this. Everything just kind of pivoted to, you know, okay, attitude check, you know.
That's a lot to shoulder. I mean, I could see where you would be pretty crappy for a little while.
Yeah.
With all that anxiety.
Anyway.
Are you signed up for Wichita?
Not yet, but I'm going to be, yeah.
We are for the 50K.
Good. I'm in for Wichita for sure.
50 mile or 50K?
Yeah, 50 mile for sure.
Okay.
I mean, I love that race so much. I cannot wait to go run it again. It is such an awesome course.
Now we'll be doing a mountain, right?
Will you climb over the mountain? Yeah. It's not, people that live in the mountains are like, that's a hill, but you literally climb hands and knees up the rocks to the top of the mountain and then back down the other side. It's legit.
Well, I know
Yikes.
that there's a picture opportunity to climb
It's
up
beautiful,
the mountains,
yeah.
but how much
Yeah.
climbing up the mountain are you actually doing like that? I mean, am I going to be climbing up? Am I expected to climb up the side of a mountain for hours at a time?
It'll take you 20 minutes to get up one side, and then
Okay.
to traverse the whole thing will probably take you 30 minutes, 35 minutes, I think.
But it's doable at my running level.
Oh, yeah. It was doable at my running level. That's doable at, yeah, I mean, you can do it totally.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to compare my running level to your level.
It's not like
for you to say it's doable at my running level does not mean it's
well,
doable.
yeah. I mean, I was glad that I squat a lot.
Yeah.
You know, like I was like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine if I was like super skinny and not very strong. This would be terrible. But it was, you know, I could handle it.
Speaking of squatting, it's interesting that you're back running already because after doing the 50 miler and then doing St. Jude marathon, I'm done with running for a little bit. I'm focusing on weightlifting and getting back in the gym full time.
I've just like discovered I want to run more than I've ever wanted to run in my life, but I've just got things that are hurting more. Like still, I've got like some pain in my ankles that is still carried over from the 100, and I'm kind of peppering a little bit. I'm not running super fast. I'm just kind of not running long.
You just run around saying hundo all the time.
Hundo. I'm like, hey, did you know I ran 100 miles?
Hundy.
A little thing you might not know about me is I ran a hundo.
Now, is that a faux pas to say a hundo?
I don't think once you've ran a hundo, that anything.
But you have to have
I think
ran
you can
one.
say whatever you want to.
Treat people however you want.
Look at my belt buckle.
Do you wear your belt buckle?
I've not. I don't know how to use it. So the belts that I have all have belt buckles on them already. Like that they loop through. I guess there's a special belt you have to wear.
Yeah.
You could wear
There
it like
is.
a chain.
Yeah.
You could wear it like a,
Oh my
could.
goodness.
Yeah.
So would you wear it if you had the proper belt?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just have to figure that whole process out because I'm not a cowboy by any means.
but you can be. You've ran a hundo.
I can be a cowboy if I want.
Like I couldn't just up and be a cowboy. I've never ran a hundy.
That's right.
It's like if you slept at a Days Inn or whatever that commercial
right.
is. I ran a
I did stay
hundo.
at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I see your belt buckle. Did you run a hundo? No, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
I would
last
definitely
night.
wear the belt buckle. I got to get my hands on one of those belts that it'll fit on, however that works.
Yeah, you should do that. Anything else anybody got going on?
I feel like I had a lot of questions. Don't know if we answered all of them, but if we didn't, maybe I'll do Vaughn's vlog and answer them. So
Yeah.
I think that you should start Vaughn's vlog.
I really want to, but my idea is I have to have at least 12 ideas before I start, so that I'll do all of them. So I'll be ahead of the game. Because my problem is that I always tend to like, oh, I'll just do this, and I don't know what I'm doing, and like, oh, I can't do it because I don't know what I'm doing. So
That's why I have enjoyed the writing with Amanda giving me a topic.
yeah.
Because my streak on that is really
You're
if
killing it,
If I
dude.
do say
Every day.
the streak is good. Sometimes what I put out there, is
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
As long as
the
you-
exercise is there, and
Yeah.
I feel good after getting it done. That hey, I've made this another day. That's my run streak.
Yeah.
My writing streak is my 1 mile a day or whatever you call it. And even when I put out something that's not very well written, I still feel like I got up.
You
and
did it.
I took it on
Yeah.
the chin. So
Yeah.
I think that you starting that vlog would be fun. I just enjoyed it when you were doing it, and it's something fun to.
Yeah.
I think it's an exercise in humility to
It
some
is.
degree.
It really is.
To
yeah.
say, you know what, I said I was going to do this every day, and to hell with what everyone thinks about it.
Yeah.
And here we go. And so you need to do that
I do need to do it.
and do it daily.
So my Lift Heavy Run Long app, it popped up a few minutes ago. Valerie was making a shout out that Vaughn was talking about his 100-miler on like Facebook Live.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That app does some neat
I
stuff.
don't know. Let me make sure. Let me check to make sure there's no.
Yeah, did anybody shoot you any texts or any
No,
questions
no.
real quick?
Doesn't look like it. So I guess we're in.
Everybody needs to be on this app.
I love
so-
it, man.
it's so easy
Like
to
I've
do.
got two guys, Brian and Sean, are on the deadlift program,
Uh-huh.
and it's so cool. Like because it'll alert me. Like when they work out, it alerts me that they put results in, so I can go look. And then when I look at them, I can send them a message, and it since it's an app on the phone, you can get push notifications. So it'll alert me when they write back, so it pops up, and I'll be like, hey, like I asked Sean the other day, how are those snatch grip deadlifts? And he wrote me back and was like, blah blah, my hands don't do this, and he was like, is it okay if I do this? I'm like, yeah, do it this way if you want. It's like it was so easy, like it's so convenient.
Well, I signed everybody up. I took all those people in, not knowing what I'm figuring out this app as we go along. And then I was trying to get everyone in the same group, and you can't do that. You can only be assigned to one program at a time.
Okay.
And the group that I started could only be assigned to that program. So there was no one else allowed in. So I was going to take everyone out and put them in a different group. Well, when I did that, everyone's programs went away.
Oh no.
And I thought, like here we got 120 people, all of which their programming is completely screwed. So I had to go in there one by one for all 120 and copy, delete, move
Oh, my
over,
gosh.
save, copy, delete, move over, save. And Pedro's like talking to me at work, and I'm like, I'll be there in a second.
Stinks.
And like 2 hours later, I'm like, okay,
Well, hey,
we can
on the
break
bright side, there's 120 people in there.
down. That's right. We got it all
Look at
working
that.
now.
That's awesome.
We're working out the kinks. Lift Heavy Run Long episode number 77 is in the books.
Pushing closer to 100.
Yep. You just like to say 100.